Welcome to the Game Sense Football Podcast. I'm Ewan and with me is Nas. And in today's episode, we look at the achievements of outgoing Liverpool manager Jurgen Klopp and how the Liverpool fan favourite compares to other modern managerial grades. So Nas, what's some of your favourite music that you listen to? And maybe your favourite musical artists as well.
My musical taste is quite varied if you look at my Spotify, aside from obviously being subscribed to the Game Sense Football Podcast.
Of course.
Of course, I generally only have one huge playlist and everything is in there. It ranges from acoustic covers of 80s and 90s music to old school ballads to genre bending things. A lot of tracks from FIFA games as well. Some of the tracks are very, very good, as you will know.
Yes.
But yeah, I don't think I have one particular favorite genre, though I think there's a few I don't like. Not a huge fan of jazz or yodeling, country music, or heavy metal.
Okay. Fan of the Beatles?
Not so much. I've always thought they were a bit overrated.
Yeah, I know they're from Liverpool, that's why. So speaking about Liverpool, we are talking about Jurgen Klopp today.
Yep.
As the whole world knows, even non-football fans, Jurgen Klopp is leaving Liverpool at the end of this season. And I think what we want to do today is to just, take a look at some of his achievements. I don't think we can disagree very much on his achievements for the club. He has done really well for them, and the fans are, that's why you can see that the fans, they're really upset, right, about him leaving. And really, it came as a sudden blow back in January.
Yeah. Klopp has been like a transformational appointment for Liverpool. We've briefly mentioned this before in an earlier episode about how he gets the club, the ethos, the philosophy, the DNA of Liverpool, and the vibe of the city as well. Has a connection with the players, the fans, the whole area. So I guess you could accuse us as Man United fans for maybe looking at this at a maybe more cynical lens, but I think we can at least try to be objective here.
So he joined Liverpool in 2015, I believe. 2015, yes. So I just did a quick poll. He's won like 7 major trophies, I think. So this, really was one of the big things about how Liverpool had picked themselves up with Klopp's help, of course. And suddenly they are challenging for the title every single season. And very impressively, they finished second in 2018, 2019 with 97 points. 97 points. At that time, I think it was the third highest point tally in the league ever. And yet they didn't win that season. They went on to win the Premier League the next season, though.
The COVID
with
season.
an even more impressive 99 points.
Yeah. So, like you said, when he took over Brendan Rodgers' team, first season was 8th. He finished 4th twice, and then, like you said, 2nd and 1st. He has finished with 97, 99, and 92 points in the last 5 or 6 years. And generally speaking, that is bloody amazing. To put that into perspective, I dug back into the archives and looked at some older seasons. Man United treble season. How many points did United get?
90.
79.
79?
Arsenal invincible season. How many points did Arsenal get?
90.
90 is correct. Not bad. Jose Mourinho's special one season, 95 points. Ronaldo's amazing Man United season where he scored a shitload of goals, 87.
Wow.
08-09 Man United season where United were very dominant and beat Liverpool. That was Rafa Benitez Fax season, 90 points.
It's incredible. I think the only team to have bested Liverpool's 99-point tally was the Man City team from 2017-2018, right? 100 points.
And I guess that Man City is going to be like a running theme here about when we're talking about Klopp's achievement.
Yeah, I think a lot of the more hardcore fans like to talk about how Klopp compares head to head against Pep, right? And I actually went to pull this up. they've played 30 games together, and Klopp actually has a better record against Pep. In 30 games, Klopp has won 12 and Pep 11.
Ah,
Yeah.
right. So
Yeah,
Klopp,
he's only one of two managers to actually be to have a positive record against Pep.
one of two. Is the other one like Solskjaer?
No. It's Conte.
Ah, right. Yes, Conte. That would make
Yeah,
sense.
but with a lot less games. I think like less than
Yeah.
10, less than
Mm.
10 games. So not a very big sample size.
I think Klopp, as we said, his achievements in terms of the performances he's got out of the Liverpool team almost
Mhm.
always has been really, really good. And on top of that, they've also been very fun to watch most of the time. Very, very rarely have you watched a Liverpool game and thought this is a bad game of football.
Yeah, exactly. So let me ask you, what is your, one of your greatest memories of a Klopp Liverpool side?
Unfortunately, okay, well,
I know where this is going. I know
yeah,
where this is
yeah,
going.
yeah, yeah. My two biggest memories both involve 7 goals. One is them beating United 7-0, but also from this year, United beating Klopp Liverpool 4-3 in the FA Cup. But
Mm.
it's very strange. Maybe I'm biased as a United fan, but a lot of things I remember, aside from individual moments of brilliance from Salah, Mane, Firmino, is them always sort of falling short at the end. They've lost Champions League finals early on. They lost a lot of semi-finals and things like that. And again, finished behind Man City many times.
Yes, yes. Actually, I really remember the Barcelona game, right,
Ah,
against
the
Liverpool, the
Trent
corner.
corner. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean they did come from behind. And one of the things about Liverpool games is reminds me a little bit of the Manchester United of old, where they do score a lot of late goals.
Yeah, one more late goal I always remember is the goal Origi scores against Everton, where Van Dijk volleys it, it loops down, hits the bar, and Origi hits in because Jordan Pickford, the Everton keeper, just totally misreads it, and Klopp, goes mad and breaks his glasses running onto the field.
Yeah. I remember that. I remember
Yeah,
I
yeah,
remember the glasses thing more than
yeah.
anything
Then
actually.
more than the actual goal. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I saw that since Klopp has taken over Liverpool, Liverpool have scored more last minute winners than any other team. So when you say it reminds you of, like Ferguson
Mm-hmm.
era United, that's exactly what it is. And I guess it's a combination of him sort of instilling a determination and never say die sort of attitude and them always going for it.
Yeah, I think one of the strengths of Klopp that fans appreciate is his mental, I mean, not just the mental part, rather the man management part,
Mm,
right?
mm.
Yeah. So it's how he handles his players, how he reaches out to them, how he connects with them. And in building the team spirit, I think that's something that the Liverpool team, you can see the way that affects them on the pitch, right? So they
Yep.
play together as a team. They're cohesive. They buy into his philosophy,
Yeah,
his
yeah.
his high press, counter pressing.
And his style isn't an easy style to play. It's so physically, mentally, like psychologically demanding, and it requires
Mhm.
everybody to be like on point all the time or it breaks down, which was what we saw last year when Liverpool didn't have a good season. But yeah, like he imparts this like determination, and not everybody can do that. And as you said, his man management has been second to none basically. Like since he took over, there have been almost no instances of him falling out with a player. Maybe who was it? Mamadou Sakho early on,
Yes. Yeah.
Naby Keita slightly, and
Mhm.
recently the spat with Salah, but that seems to have resolved itself now. But compared with anybody else, no, even Pep falls out with at least one player a year. Why do you think that doesn't happen at Liverpool? Is it just because like the force of personality of Jurgen Klopp is people don't disagree, or do you think he manages it so well that we don't ever see it?
I wouldn't think that there would be no disagreements, behind the scenes.
Mm,
So it's probably well managed. And being a good man manager does not mean no conflicts, right?
yeah.
I guess it just means that the conflict management is good.
Mm,
And of course, the club itself keeps it tight. keeps a tight lid on all these incidents that potentially can happen.
Do you think that's Jurgen Klopp's greatest strength, like his man management? Because again, we'll go over this more in detail later, but in modern times, he's always compared to Pep, and Pep is looked at as this greatest bastion of tactical innovation. So is Klopp the opposite and just man management, do you think?
Of course not, right? Of course not. In fact, being a non-Liverpool fan, I wouldn't really think about man management as the first thing when I think about Klopp. But it's the raw passion
Mm.
that he brings to the game. I mean, the fella's pretty authentic, I feel, right? So, in his media interviews, in how he carries himself on the touchline, it looks like he cares. And I think that's one very strong thing that I noticed. In addition to the fact that if you care but you don't get the results, I think
Yeah.
that's something that's the big difference between Klopp and other managers. And yeah, I think from a non-Liverpool fan, that's what I see, and that's what I would admire about him as well.
He's part of that German gegenpressing school, right? So Klopp at Dortmund, I believe, he once said that counter pressing, winning the ball high up the pitch, is better than any playmaker in the planet.
Yeah, it was quite effective.
I think, like we said earlier, the combination of him being so obviously to a fault genuine and passionate, and playing this, high intensity, heavy metal football,
Mhm.
plus just being able to get the results, not just like, for example, Marcelo Bielsa plays a very high intensity, high press, super intense brand of football, has barely
Mhm.
won anything. Ange Postecoglou, super passionate, super genuine, barely won anything. I mean, he's won the Scottish League, but nobody really counts that, right? But Jurgen Klopp has a blend of everything that makes him, I wouldn't say the perfect manager, but unless
Mm.
you're a Everton or United fan, I think it's very hard not to like him.
Yeah, I mean, I don't dislike him, right?
Mm, mm,
Being a Man United fan, and I think when we talk about how good he is,
mhm.
there has to be a consideration as well that when he came to Liverpool, he didn't really do that well at the start, right?
Yep.
It took him a few seasons, but what's important is that he also had the support of his club, his bosses, right?
Yes. Yeah, exactly. He had the backing, the support structure in the Liverpool backroom and board level that believed in him and his vision, And
Mm.
earlier we were talking about how he manages the players, and I think Liverpool's recruitment plays a part in this as well, that they've mostly found players who would fit into the team in terms of personality and mentality, on top of generally being very good players. And like Mo Salah wasn't a player that Klopp had earmarked. Sadio Mane was one he had an eye on, and he has said that he tried to sign him when he was at Dortmund, when Mane was in the Bundesliga.
Mhm.
But Mo Salah wasn't even a player that Klopp had shortlisted. But Liverpool's scouting department basically took what Klopp, the list of players that Klopp wanted, and it was like, okay, so you want a inverted left-footed winger? Here's Mo Salah, and see what he's done.
Yeah, and I guess Klopp should get some credit, with how he transformed Salah into um, basically a world-class goal scorer.
For sure,
Yep.
yeah. Klopp saw something in Salah, in Mane, and he forged the trio of Salah, Mane, Firmino, and those few years, those three players were together. They were like maybe only behind Messi, Neymar, Suarez in terms of a front three. I would even put them
Maybe.
ahead of Ronaldo, Bale, Benzema.
I think I can agree with you on that.
The best, and Firmino wasn't even a club signing. Firmino was already there.
That's true.
Mm,
That's true.
yeah.
That's interesting, yes. So anyway, we were talking about this in an earlier episode, the impact of how a manager announces his departure early in the season
Yes.
and how it would affect the team, right, going forward for the rest of the
Yep.
season. And I think, do you think that Klopp made a mistake in announcing his departure early?
So when we spoke about this earlier, I think we said that it would probably galvanize Liverpool. I've looked at the numbers, and
Mhm.
he announced that he was leaving at the end of January. Yep. So
Yep.
it's been 24 games since that point, as of today, which is the 14th of May.
Okay.
In the first 12 games after the announcement, they won 10 games, lost to Arsenal, and drew with Man City. Very good.
That sounds good. That
Yeah,
sounds
very
good.
good.
Yeah.
I mean, ideally, they wouldn't have lost to Arsenal, but 10 wins out of 12 and the only drop points or whatever was against those two. Fine. Game
Yep.
number 13 was the FA Cup game against United, and they lost 4-3.
Aha.
Including that game, the next 12 games, they've only had 5 wins. And the 5
Okay.
wins are against Brighton, Sheffield United, Fulham, Spurs, and the second leg of the Europa League against Atalanta, when they had already been beaten comprehensively in the first leg.
Okay.
They've dropped 12 points in the last 9 league games.
Mm.
So their form has nosedive, fallen off a cliff. Obviously, hindsight is 2020, and maybe it wasn't a good idea to announce so early, because Klopp's farewell tour has definitely been derailed. And I would argue that they would have done just as well in those first 12 games anyway. But after they lost to Man United in the FA Cup, I think it was from such a high to such a low that none of them ever really recovered.
At least a little bit of this Klopp leaving is playing in their heads, right?
Yeah.
It will definitely be there.
I guess a disappointing end to his tenure there at Anfield.
How do you think Liverpool will do once Klopp is gone?
I think that would be an interesting scenario and situation to look at. Arne Slot will come into a Liverpool side that's in the Champions League, that's finished third in the Premier League. A lot of big name players, a lot of aging players as well, especially if Van Dijk, Salah, and all don't leave, and there's still a question mark there. It would be interesting to see how Arne Slot handles all these players, because he's not been tested in that regard. In terms of play style, I'm actually not sure, because Arne Slot, like Klopp, is very, very attacking. But in the last few seasons at Feyenoord and before that at AZ, one major difference is that he almost exclusively plays a 4-2-3-1 instead of the 4-3-3 that Klopp has almost exclusively played. And a very possession-based 4-2-3-1, not a fast, high-octane counter style.
Definitely not Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's 4-2-3-1.
No, not so much, but
Yeah.
in a way, no, you're right. It's not like Solskjaer.
It's totally not. Yeah.
Yeah. One key thing that he likes to do is to allow his fullbacks to advance very, very high and join the attack. And that definitely plays into Liverpool in that obviously they have Trent and Eddie Robertson. So a manager that likes to use attacking fullbacks would probably suit that part of the Liverpool squad. He also likes to use two inverted wingers that like to cut in and score. Again, suits Liverpool. And he employs a very high press and a number 10 who is not so much a playmaker as a running around doing everything sort of player. That's definitely what Liverpool have. So he definitely fits Liverpool's squads in terms of their strengths. It'll be interesting to see if his tactics actually translate well to the level in the Premier League. We've seen Erik ten Hag try to implement his Ajax, maybe not tactics, but just a philosophy at United, and not very successful. And but the other part of course is Liverpool right now have a very strong squad, but a lot of those players have contracts which are winding down, or they're a bit older. Salah and Van Dijk most notably, and there've also been a bit of unrest with Darwin Núñez and all.
Yeah, I think they got to sort that out. Van Dijk hasn't really looked to be as effective as he had been in previous seasons.
Yeah, ever since his injury, I think.
Yeah.
There's even rumors that Trent might go somewhere. I don't know where, but PSG. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there.
Huh. Trent in PSG. Oh,
I could totally see him there.
take Rashford with him.
I think it's more likely that Salah goes to PSG, to be honest. Oh, but he'll probably go to Saudi if you're just talking about political issues.
Can see that happening, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's see what happens to the team after, Jurgen Klopp hands it over to Arne Slot. Back to talking about Klopp versus Pep. Both managers, I think, being the most prominently high achieving managers in the Premier League over the last half a decade, or almost close to a decade, in fact, actually. Like we mentioned earlier, when Liverpool actually got 97 points, they were pipped to the title by Pep's Man City, 98 points, I believe. Yeah.
Mhm.
So there's always going to be talk about who's the better manager. So what
Yeah.
do you think? Do you think this is a moot discussion?
It's a bit irritating, but I will answer your question with a question. When you ask me, is it a mood discussion? What do you mean?
Like, is there a point in comparing them, basically?
I think yes, but in a way, no, because one way to looking at it, and if you put on your Man United bias hat, is it worth comparing them when objectively Klopp has failed much more than he succeeded? In the past 10 plus years, he has won as many Premier League titles as Claudio Ranieri. Yeah. So again, obviously, that's a disingenuous thing to say. Happy to admit that. But all I'm saying is that people who say that there's no point in comparing Pep to Klopp, that's definitely one way to look at it. That's not how I would look at it. And I think it's difficult to say who is better because there are so many other variables at play here. You could say that Pep has more financial muscle behind him. Like, maybe there are 115 reasons why that's so.
Mhm.
But it's not as if Liverpool haven't spent money, Van Dijk, Alisson, and all, Darwin Núñez, even Naby Keita and all were bought for a lot of money. And we've never really heard that Liverpool were trying to go for somebody but got priced out, except maybe Jude Bellingham last year.
I get what you mean. But I think maybe for this comparison, we can put club support aside, right? And maybe we look at the qualities of both managers. So I mean,
Yes,
tactically, I would say Pep has the upper hand here. In terms of uh, the qualities that he brings to the table, right? He's a little bit more creative in setting up his teams, more trailblazing in terms of setting unique philosophy, right? In terms of how
correct.
a team plays.
Yeah, so Pep has not so much reinvented his team multiple times, but he's introduced new ideas to football that people had never considered before. You look at how he developed, advanced, perfected the tiki-taka school of play while he was in charge of Barcelona. It led to an unprecedented period of success for Barcelona and for Spain.
Mm,
You could even argue that the entire German gegenpressing play style, it wasn't developed by Pep for sure,
right?
but it grew in popularity and overall effectiveness as a way to counter the mass adoption of tiki-taka possession football. He goes to Bayern and develops this idea of inverted fullbacks. Again, he's not the first person to do it, but
Mm-hmm.
probably the first person to use it effectively over a sustained period. Later on, and now at Man City, he's developed this box midfield, which so many other teams are trying to copy now.
Mm,
And this is predicated on the fact that he's identified that one of his centre backs, John Stones, is perfect for this role. And very few people can say that they've changed the way that football is played, the way it's talked about, the way it's thought of. Maybe another metric to look at is how the players have improved under each manager. And I think both Pep and Klopp have strong arguments that they've made good players amazing. But again, I would hand it to Pep because Klopp definitely has made Salah world class. We were talking earlier about how nobody would have believed he would become the world's best goal scoring wide forward. But aside from Salah, maybe Trent, okay? But Trent Alexander-Arnold, his ability to ping the ball across the field, his long passing, like laser precision, right? Is that Klopp's coaching? I don't think that's something you can coach.
Perhaps not.
surely
Yeah.
something that he has just, he's innately talented in doing. And definitely, Klopp's tactics allow him to showcase it for sure. But then there are, much publicized failings in his defensive game, which is very often exploited. But when you look at Pep, for a long time, John Stones, people said, why is John Stones their laughing stock, useless player? Now he was like Champions League player of the year last year. Nathan Ake, nobody would have thought Nathan Ake would have been a Premier League winner. Obviously, all these are already good players. No one is saying Riyad Mahrez and Ilkay Gundogan and Jack Grealish, for example. No one is saying those were bad players. They were all very, very good players, but Pep has elevated them.
I mean, I would like to see what he does with Casemiro in defense.
I don't think anybody can do much with that. But I guess that's a good question. Like, I wonder how Klopp would have done with other squads. Like, he's left his mark at Liverpool forevermore. But like, I remember a long time ago, I was working at ESPN and I had written an article when Ferguson was going to retire, saying that Klopp was one of my top choices to manage United because of the reasons we had pointed out earlier. His force of personality, his attacking philosophy, stuff like that. So I wonder how he would have done had he taken over Man United when Ferguson retired.
Wow, probably not that well.
You think so?
Yeah,
Better than Moyes,
the thing is this. Klopp also needed the support of his board, right, to get him the team that would help him achieve his vision. And I don't see how that would be different in Manchester United. And when you see who are the people getting the players and how they went about it at United after Fergie left, it doesn't really leave me with much confidence that they would have helped Klopp do well.
Yeah, the more I think about it, the more I think you're right. He would probably do better in like a Bayern or something. But very few people don't do well at Bayern.
Oh, really? Very few people don't do well at Bayern. Let's see. Can I think of anyone? Thomas Tuchel.
There's one in particular, one recent one.
Yeah. But do you think he would have done well at Bayern? I think he was linked to Bayern before he joined Dortmund, and of course, constantly linked. After Klopp left for Liverpool, right? I think constantly
Yes.
whenever there was a position available for him.
I think so. I mean, Bayern in the last few years didn't play too differently from the way Liverpool are playing now. Not as high energy as the classic Dortmund. I could see him do very well with, Alphonso Davies, Thomas Muller, Serge Gnabry, Leroy Sané. They had Lewandowski for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, in the whole span, Bayern won almost every Bundesliga anyway. But I think under Klopp, they would have probably got more than they would have got a Champions League as well.
I think one of the considerations, for Bayern that's a little bit different compared to Dortmund and Liverpool even is presence of so many strong personalities, or you could say big egos in the team, right? So I think that's one of the things that would be very different for Klopp if he were to manage Bayern.
So where do you think Klopp goes now?
I don't know. I would think he would be in the running for the Bayern Munich job the following season.
Do you think basically it's wherever Xabi Alonso doesn't go?
Yeah. So my guess is Bayern are looking to hire one of Klopp or Xabi the following season, which is one of the reasons why they would go for a manager like Ralf Rangnick, right? They wanted to go for him.
Yeah, I think the Ralf Rangnick link might have died down a bit, but people are saying Hansi Flick now, but nothing is confirmed.
Correct. So unless Hansi Flick does really well, again for Bayern, he would probably end up being more of a interim kind of manager once again. Yeah. So the other place that I could see Klopp going to might be the German national team. Depending on how easy he wants to take his career after this, right?
Yeah, I always imagine that he'll eventually get to the German national team, but I feel like he needs to have one more club appointment because he has too much energy to do a national team job.
Yeah, and he is still considered quite young for a manager.
Okay, so make a prediction. Klopp's next next destination? If you like gun to your head, where is he going next?
Bayern Munich. Otherwise, Real Madrid, maybe.
Yeah, I has to be one of those two. I think I don't see him going anywhere else. And again, I guess it's just where Xabi Alonso doesn't go.
Exactly.
So if Klopp is second choice to Xabi Alonso, where does he rank in terms of the top managers, in modern history? Say the past 30 years, okay?
30 years. Okay.
Off the top of my head, shortlist in no particular order. So
Mm-hmm.
Alex Ferguson, Arsene
Yep.
Wenger,
Mm-hmm.
Jose Mourinho,
Mm-hmm.
Carlo Ancelotti,
Mm-hmm.
Pep Guardiola, Jurgen Klopp, Diego Simeone. If you take this magnificent seven, I think it's fair to say Klopp deserves a place in this top seven. Is he in the top five?
Yeah, I would say top five.
Is he in the top three?
Good question. So I would say my number one would be Pep.
Number one is Pep. Okay.
Yeah, I would say it's Pep. Different qualities, right? I mean, that they bring to the table.
Yes.
Tactical mind, I don't think Pep can be beat.
Okay.
Questionable man management, yeah, sure. But
Mm-hmm.
obviously I rank tactics higher than man management.
Mm.
Which I'm gonna contradict myself right now to say that I think Sir Alex Ferguson was all about man management, right? He had
Mm-hmm.
very basic tactics, I would say, for
Mm-hmm.
for a top level manager. But
Mm-hmm.
of course, those were different times. He did get that found out a lot against Jose
And against Pep.
and against Pep. Yes. So
Yeah.
obviously, he was out thought by these two guys.
I guess your number three is a toss up between Wenger, Klopp, and Mourinho.
Yeah, yeah. It's difficult to compare. After all, Mourinho these days, it's kind of like past it, right?
Yes, definitely.
But just for fun, I guess. I mean, this is for fun. No one's going to be taking this super seriously, I would think. But
You never know.
you never know. You never know. I would say Jose for the fact that he was absolutely dominant in his prime. During his special one heyday in Chelsea.
Special one jersey, not happy one jersey.
Correct. Yeah, happy one was bad. Special one,
Yeah,
and after that, even Real Madrid, Inter.
yeah,
In terms of his achievements, I don't think they can be denied, right?
correct.
And like you said, so very bluntly, Klopp has as many Premier League titles as Ranieri.
Fewer than Jose.
Yeah, exactly. I would I would put I would put Klopp maybe after Ancelotti even.
In the top five,
So who was three again?
Jose.
So fourth would probably be Ancelotti to me.
Ancelotti, by the way, same number of Premier League titles as Klopp,
Correct.
but many more Champions Leagues.
Less Bundesligas.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I like Ancelotti. I think his longevity in the game, is not to be understated.
The eyebrow.
He's an old man. I mean, he's still performing as a manager at the top level, and
Mhm.
so chill, right? The fella is so chill.
Yeah,
So I would put Ancelotti in fourth place.
and Klopp in
Klopp,
fifth.
Klopp in fifth. Yeah, still Wenger, right? You mentioned Wenger, who
Wenger
has
and
who has more Premier League titles than Klopp. Why isn't Ranieri on this list?
yeah, or Conte.
If Conte could keep his shit together, I mean, he would have achieved a lot more, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
just it has also just struck me that Roberto Di Matteo has as many Champions League winners medals as Jurgen Klopp.
So I guess we can conclude this discussion right here, right now.
Yeah,
No, but seriously, I would put Klopp after Ancelotti. No, well, would I? Nah, Wenger has a good shout.
yeah, trailblazer that tailed off.
Exactly.
It'd be quite interesting to see what happens with Liverpool if Arne Slot doesn't hit the ground running. There are going to be a lot of comparisons to Eric Ten Hag.
Ah,
If he does, there'll be a lot of comparisons to Eric Ten Hag. It'll be intriguing to see where Klopp goes next. Is it a club side? Is it Germany? Is he? I don't know. Is he gonna do an AVP and be a driver at the Dakar Rally? I don't think so, but who knows? Wherever Klopp goes, whatever he does is gonna make headlines. So we'll probably discuss it here. It's going to be worth discussing for sure.
so in the last few episodes, we've had some questions posted to us.
Mhm.
I think let's tackle a couple of the interesting ones. So, Nas, why is a 3-0 win considered a thrashing?
I think there are a few ways to look at it, and I think to me, I've always gone with a thrashing must be a 4-goal win, and it has to be 4-0 or 5-1. 6-2 for some reason doesn't feel thrashing to me because the other team still got two. At the core of it, a 3-goal win isn't a thrashing. Saying that, sometimes you can dominate a team so much that you don't need to score 4 goals to show that you've completely bossed it. It's a bit strange for me. I would never say 3-0 is a thrashing, but I can see why people would.
Okay, I mean, I think the bottom line is it's very arbitrary what a thrashing entails. Could be utter domination, could be a scoreline. Okay, so the next one, how is Igor Akinfeev still playing?
Oh yeah. I guess this comes on the heels of the Wonder Kids quiz from last week, which we still need to do a round two.
You need your revenge, yeah.
I need revenge, yeah. Igor Akinfeev, yeah. How is he still playing? To be honest, I don't know. When I found out, I thought he had retired. Honestly, I thought he had retired. And so many people who listened to that quiz had the same response. Can't tell you how many times I went to make sure I didn't get it wrong. But yeah, he's still playing, never left Russia. There was an interview with one of his former coaches who just said that he doesn't feel the need to leave because of his love for Mother Russia.
I think the very reason why people feel like, what, he's still playing, is because he kind of burst onto the scene as a teenager.
Yep.
So he's been around for a good 20 years. Edwin van der Sar played till he was like past 40.
Yeah, he won the Champions League at 40, didn't he?
Yeah.
I recently found a stat that Peter Shilton was playing professional football in the same season that Michael Owen debuted for Liverpool.
Wow. It's like 90, 96, 97, around there?
Yeah, somewhere around there. Peter
so
Shilton, who is like, God knows how old.
Was like Leighton Orient or something, is it? Was he playing for
something like that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Lower league.
So I don't think it's unusual for a keeper to be playing at a top level still at 38. Plus, he's in the Russian league, right? I mean, it's not like he's playing like for Barcelona still or something.
I guess that's why people are surprised in that, because he never left, but he has been around for so long, and for such a long time he was being hyped up as this amazing keeper. But then he never made a move anywhere, so people had assumed he just retired, or because he went quiet. So
yeah. Wow, cool. Okay, I mean, those are just some of the questions that we got from the previous episodes. So if you do have any comments, if you do have any feedback or questions that you would like to ask us, feel free to drop us an email or get in touch via the comments section or through our social media.
Like if you disagree with Ewan's manager rankings.
That's right. Actually, we didn't really get your rankings, but I guess we can save that for another day.
Yeah, we can save that for another day, and we can let everybody dissect your rankings first, and then I can agree with them.
Right. Yeah, so do follow us on our social media channels. Links are all in the description. And yes, like what Na said, let us know whether you agree with what we said about Jurgen Klopp, about the legacy that he's about to leave, and about my rankings for the best managers of all time. So till next time, see ya.
See you. Ferguson is number 1.
Maybe.